Hello everybody, today is another match for the 8th of finals, so we are reaching the second part of the 8th of finals, with two teams among the 16 universities who qualified for the 8th of finals. So my name is Aurélien Laurent, and with my colleague Mr. Banova, we from the Quarks Foundation will be organizing this match this morning in Europe, this afternoon, early afternoon in Nepal. The two teams today are Kathmandu University and Sofia University. So, as usual, we will start with giving the introduction of each participant for this match, and afterwards, of course, we'll start with the match itself. So I would like to start with Miss Pradhan. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Swastika Pradhan. I am pursuing my undergraduate in business management and law at Kathmandu University School of Law, and I'm really excited to be in the octafinals competing against Sofia University. I also met Sofia yesterday, so it's very exciting to see a familiar face. I wish our competitors all the best and look forward to a very insightful debate.
Thank you very much. Now, Miss Donskaya.
Hi everyone, my name is Sofia, and today I'm really happy to see all of you. I met the team last night. It was a night for me, at least for you as well. And I'm really glad that we actually met, and I even had the chance to be part of the team with one of your team members in the quiz. So I'm really happy to see you, and I'm looking forward to this debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Dital.
Hey everyone, my name is Diksha Dital. I'm a final year student at Kathmandu University School of Law, and I look forward to a very exciting debate, especially with the topic also very interesting. It's good to see you all.
Thank you very much. Miss Merdzatnova.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Merjanova. I am currently a second year student in international relations at Sofia University, and I'm so happy to see you here, and I wish to all of you good luck.
Thank you very much. Miss Pandey.
Pandey, and I'm the third member of this team, and I'm also a student at Kathmandu University School of Law, and I'm in my final year of my law degree, which is in corporate law. And yeah, I was teammates with Sofia yesterday, so it's fun to be on the other side today. So yeah, I'm very excited for the debate.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Spas Christophe.
Hello, my name is Spas Christophe. I'm a second year student in international relations in Sofia University, and it is a great pleasure for our team to have reached this phase of the competition, and we hope, it certainly will be a worthwhile experience, and good luck to our competitors.
Thank you very much. So now, moving now to the match itself, we gave 10 days ago a topic to both teams that they prepared, and we'll see today the argumentation on both sides. It was laboratories, companies must keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccines. So now I will share my screen in order to share with everybody live the allocation of the positions, so meaning in favor or against. Voilà. So normally in the room now, in the WebEx room as well at the same time on YouTube, you should be able to see indeed the wheel with two positions possible for Kathmandu University and two positions possible for Sofia University. So you just click and you will know. So, for this match, Kathmandu University will have the position in favor, and as a consequence, Sofia University will have the position against. So to clarify, it means that Kathmandu University will defend the position that the laboratories companies must keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccines, and on the other side, Sofia University will defend the position that laboratories companies must not keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccine. So my colleague will share now the screens for the 5 minutes countdown for your internal preparation, reviewing your notes. You can close your camera and audio if you wish, and after we start with Kathmandu University for the opening statement. Voilà, le temps imparti pour sorry, I was in French.
Time for preparation is concluded.
Yes.
So we'll start with the team of Kathmandu University that has pole position. You now have 4 minutes.
Thank you. Shall I start?
Yes.
If I'm audible. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. Honorable Judge, distinguished colleagues at Kathmandu University, and I'll be arguing for the motion at hand that laboratories or companies must keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccines. Before delving into my arguments, I would like to remind why we have patent rights provisions in the first place. When labs or pharmaceutical companies are legally protecting their patent rights, they are not only protecting the products they create, but also the research that goes into creating them. This rewards competition in a free market and incentivizes companies to invest in their own research and development. The absence of such protection heavily discourages innovation as a whole. I'll be establishing my arguments based on 3 counts. Firstly, patents have informational limitations due to which even the patent rights waiver is not adequate to ensure replication and manufacture. Secondly, the problem of lack of infrastructure and the global unavailability of raw materials to produce those vaccines. And lastly, excuse me, can you please pause the time? I have a small issue with my device. I'm so sorry.
It's all right, the time is paused.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Shall I resume?
Yes, you can continue.
I'll be establishing my arguments based on 3 counts. Firstly, patents have informational limitations. Secondly, the problem of lack of infrastructure and the global unavailability of raw materials to produce those vaccines. And lastly, instead of broad IP waivers, better options, notably those that encourage and pressurizes vaccine manufacturers to cooperate and share their knowledge with partners across the globe, must be adopted, such as, for example, voluntary licensing in IP. When a regular drug patent is waived, generic companies can easily enter the market and replicate the product. This in turn lowers the market prices and the product becomes accessible to the individuals. Vaccines, as we've understood, are harder to make compared to ordinary drugs, especially the COVID-19 vaccine. It includes a myriad of complex vaccine components, from antigens to inactive ingredients to stabilizers to vaccine delivery mechanisms. So a waiver to the vaccine patent might provide informational access to the process and the tools needed to produce the vaccine, but this knowledge is practically insufficient to allow for replication. In addition to this, many companies might also have undocumented secrets relating to the vaccine that is deliberately not included in the patent for competitive reasons. In such cases, lifting the patent rights may solve the exclusivity problem, but it will not result in an increased informational disclosure. Now, let's add to this the infrastructural limitations and the access to raw materials in order to replicate, produce, and distribute the COVID-19 vaccine, especially in the global south, raising questions of ability to both manufacture effective vaccines as well as to ensure the vaccine quality. Therefore, the waiver of COVID-19 vaccine patents is not the right policy tool to ensure equitable vaccine distribution. Coming to my final point, an alternative route to ensure equitable vaccine distribution is voluntary licensing, an arrangement in which patent inventors enter into binding contractual agreements with generic manufacturers, and they get assistance from the patent holders to produce the vaccine. And in exchange, the patent holder can ensure quality of the generic product and may receive royalties on the sales. And that way, voluntary licensing offers incentives like revenue stream as well as good publicity of the inventors. Article 31B of the TRIPS also requires the country to have first attempted a voluntary license. In practice as well, we can see voluntary licensing deals from AstraZeneca and Novavax already facilitating large-scale production in India, Japan, and South Korea, where many of the resulting vaccines are destined for low-income countries through the COVAX. So with this, I would like to restate our stance that laboratories or companies must keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor as well for the opening statement to Sofia University. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, but firstly, am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this debate. My name is Sofia, and today, with my colleagues Maria Merjanova and Spas Christov, we will defend the motion that laboratories/companies must not keep their patent rights on the COVID vaccines. Honorable judges, we live in difficult times caused not only by severe viruses, but also by war. This is the time when we are all supposed to unite and help each other regardless of the profit. There is no universal law or agreement for patents. The most close one is the TRIPS agreement by the World Trade Organization member countries. And the TRIPS agreement is a minimum standard agreement which allows members to provide more extensive protection of intellectual property. Waiving TRIPS could provide countries with the space to increase collaboration and research and development, exempting the World Trade Organization members from the risk of being sued by other companies for not implementing the TRIPS agreement during the pandemic. This initiative was already put forward last October by India and South Africa and the World Trade Organization. To clarify and be as precise as possible, we, as today's opposition, have structured our case as follows. We make 3 arguments to this effect. First, the waiver is a necessary and proportionate legal measure for clearing intellectual property barriers in a direct, consistent, and efficient fashion. It also enables the freedom to operate for more companies to produce COVID-19 vaccines and other health technologies without the fear of infringing another party's IP rights and the attendant threat of litigation. Second, the waiver acts as an important political, moral, and economic lever towards encouraging solutions aimed at global equitable access to vaccines, which is in the wider interest of the global public. This waiver is an essential legal instrument in the context for enabling a radical increase to manufacturing capacity and hence supply of COVID-19 vaccines, creating a pathway to achieve global equitable production and access. To emphasize, we will move to a more political point in the face of vaccine nationalism that has been demonstrated by certain countries' unwillingness to participate in global discussion regarding vaccine distribution. Vaccine nationalism inevitably results in equitable allocations of vaccines, greatly disfavoring developing nations. A report by anti-poverty campaigners published in February said that rich countries have secured more than 1 billion more doses than they need, highlighting the divide between rich and poor. Third, we will shift our view on the economic aspect of the problem. A company with absolute control over a patent drug can set high prices that will make the drug unavailable to many. This result is absolutely unacceptable in the case of COVID-19 vaccines, since widespread immunity is essential to quell the pandemic. Current patent law includes safeguards that will effectively guarantee the pharmaceutical companies that are offered a fair reward for their efforts, but no more. This level of private control is especially enraging as applied to COVID-19 vaccines, considering the unprecedentedly high levels of public investment in COVID-19 vaccine research and the vaccine's critical importance to human welfare and socio-economic stability. Honorable judges, the fact is that each additional day the vaccine shortage continues, people will pay with their lives, and we believe this should have never happened in the 21st century. For those reasons, the motion should fall.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the first round of rebuttals. I would like to give the floor to Kathmandu University. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. While the opposition's argument that the solution to vaccine inequity is the suspension of protection on COVID-19 vaccine patents seems clear and intuitive at first, the reality, however, is much more complicated. The opposition completely ignores the necessity to incentivize the process for the inventors. Because of the technical complexity of manufacturing coronavirus vaccines, waiving intellectual property rights by itself would have very little effect. It could even backfire, with companies using the move as an excuse to disengage from global access efforts. There are more effective ways to entice and to pressure these companies to license and share their intellectual property and the associated know-how without broadly nullifying the patent in itself. As I've expressed in my previous arguments, the best route to vaccine equity involves creating the conditions to facilitate more of voluntary deals. The opposition also fails to accurately highlight the importance of innovation in the industry. Innovations in pharmaceuticals and healthcare have played the most important role in saving millions of lives of people throughout multiple epidemics. An example of this importance: it took 42 years to discover a new colon cancer drug treatment. 42 years. Pharmaceutical companies are uniquely reliant on patents for innovations. We hereby submit that strong patent and intellectual property rights are integral to the innovation of pharmaceuticals and therefore must not be waived. In addition to that, if we encourage free competition, if we encourage free market competition, the prices will automatically be lower and it will be easily accessible for all. So in promotion of free market and in preservation of intellectual property rights, patent waivers must not be sustained. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we would like to give the floor as well to Sofia University for the first round of rebuttals as well. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible and visible again?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Honorable judges, what the affirmative side didn't take into account is that intellectual property rights, including the patent, are not and have never been absolute rights, and that they are granted and recognized under the condition that they serve to the public interest. The free distribution of vaccines is a vital part of our surveillance, not only as a nation, but as species. Inequality between nations has allowed COVID-19 to continue spreading and increased the chances of variants emerging that could evade the current crop of vaccines. The vast majority of the doses that have been administered are in the wealthier nations. The less than 2% of the doses have been given in Africa and other low and middle income countries. The TRIPS waiver is a critical legal tool in this context for permitting a significant increase in production capacity and therefore supply of COVID-19 vaccines, paving the road to global equitable access. Not to forget that given the ongoing absence of sufficient voluntary engagement by the pharmaceutical industry with proposed global mechanisms on intellectual property rights, data and know-how to address the pandemic, the ability to suspend the rules under the TRIPS agreement are highly crucial. Furthermore, in the light of the considerable public financing of COVID-19 vaccine research, development, production, and purchase, claims of inviolability of private IP monopoly rights cannot be justified. The IP system has failed in past to create market initiatives for vaccine development, a finding that is acknowledged and analyzed by scholars in the field. Honorable judges, there is no time to waste. The patent directly interferes with our most basic and fundamental right, the right to live and be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the second round of rebuttals. I would like to give the floor to Kathmandu University. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for. I would like to thank our opposition for their excellent arguments. But however, I would like to respectfully disagree. Firstly, I would like to point out that the TRIPS itself is a mechanism which came into the international law, which came into force in international law through many rounds of negotiations, which included not just exceptions but many measures that foresee these very circumstances that we live in. Some of those mechanisms have been explained by my first speaker, which include voluntary licensing as well as compulsory licensing. These are these are measures that are included inside the TRIPS, which are included in TRIPS, which help vaccine rollout in the long run. And the waiver which the opposition proposes will dismantle the innovation regime that has been carefully crafted and the pharmaceutical regime that has survived so long on the basis of these innovations and on the basis of these incentives. Ignoring the need to incentivize innovation in the long run will only discourage innovation, and we will suffer more further, and the public will suffer more due to these short-term measures which are not which do not foresee the future. Further, I would also like to take the time to explain that corporations cannot be legally coerced to give up their secrets. They will, if we implement this measure of waiver, if we implement this waiver of this particular provision in TRIPS, they will probably find other legal loopholes which to protect the research, such as trade secrets. And I would also like to point out that the waiver of patents in vaccines does not automatically mean technological transfer. The waiver does not automatically guarantee that there will be more vaccine production and more vaccine rollout. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to give the floor now for the second round of rebuttals as well to Sofia University. You have 2 minutes.
Before I start, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Dear ladies and gentlemen, what the other team did not consider when they said patents protect the research and initiatives, and there is a problem with infrastructure, is that many countries, like India, for example, have already invested millions to overcome these problems. And also, I would like to emphasize that patents erect barriers to competitors. While tackling the COVID-19 crisis requires technological collaboration that harnesses our global scientific and technological potential to fight the virus together. Intellectual property rights were never intended to be used during pandemics. And for example, the United Nations-backed medicines patents pool does not include any COVID-19 vaccine patents and related intellectual property. And also, in the past, blanket exceptions have been created to ensure that they are not a hindrance to public health, such as the exception for the production of penicillin during World War II. So there is a base for legal concern as well in the case of Arbutus Biopharma Corporation and Genevan Science versus Moderna, case number 22252, which shows that even in the presence of regulations, the companies still manage to bypass it. Suspending intellectual property rights does not mean erasing the prospect of profits. Waiver requirements can always incorporate reasonable compensation, taking into account the research and costs and other investments that companies have made. However, keeping such information in private hands in these hard times is not just unethical. It destroys the very purpose of the public investment that was meant to address the crisis. COVID-19 is a global public health and economic emergency. It will not end unless we have the courage to embrace new solutions for knowledge sharing and cooperation to meet our moment in history and to affirm our humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the conclusions. We start with the conclusion by Kathmandu University. You have 2 minutes.
Before I start, am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Honorable Judge and distinguished colleagues, I am Swastika Pradhan, the final speaker of the debate, and will be providing you a brief summary of the debate. Before that, I want to start with a statistic that 65.5% of the world population has already received at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. This shows how current efforts have been proved to be instrumental in ending, or at least causing the coronavirus pandemic to be at a position where it is slowed down in many countries, and where an extent of normality has resumed in many countries. Before starting, I'd like to also highlight the fact that has been brought by my teammates again and again that we have existing mechanisms under the WTO's agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, that is voluntary and compulsory licensing. In Nepal, the vaccine that helped curb the pandemic was Covishield, which was manufactured due to voluntary licensing between the Oxford University and the Serum Institute of India. Our team had three major arguments from the proposition. The first was that patents have informational limitations, due to which even patent rights waiver may not be adequate enough to ensure its replication and large-scale manufacturing, which is to say, even if we completely waived IP restrictions, there would still be a lack of know-how. A waiver to the vaccine might provide informational access to the process and tools. However, this knowledge is practically insufficient to allow for replication. Therefore, lifting patent rights may solve the exclusivity problem, but it will not result in an increased information disclosure. Secondly, even if the patent restriction on the use of vaccine is limited, it does not solve the issues of lack of infrastructure and global availability. And lastly, it does not provide, there are better mechanisms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we give the floor as well to Sofia University for the conclusion. You have 2 minutes.
Before I begin, the regular question, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Honorable judges, distinguished colleagues, I would firstly like to thank the opposing side for their commendable efforts in preparing and presenting their arguments. I will have the privilege of summarizing our team's line of reasoning on why companies and laboratories must be deprived of their exclusive patent rights on COVID-19 vaccines. As the unrelenting deadly outbreaks around the world have made clear, time is of the essence. Any delay in innovation or distribution is immensely costly to societies worldwide. Given the provided evidence, it could be agreed upon that quick and effective distribution of COVID-19 vaccines depends on their prices. Prices which, as has been demonstrated, are in a direct proportion with the degree of legal protection provided to inventors and patent holders. It must be emphasized that a company with absolute control over a patented drug can set high prices that will make the drug unavailable to many. This result is especially unacceptable in the case of COVID-19 vaccines, since widespread immunity is essential to overcome the pandemic. Patent protection is indeed the crux of the problem. Because the patent holder enjoys total control over the drug, it can command prices that generate profits exponentially greater than its investment in research and development. These complications have already begun to emerge in the context of COVID-19 vaccines, mainly in the form of aforementioned vaccine nationalism, where competition over scarce resources and bidding wars among countries are fueled by the knowledge that each vaccine is monopolistically held by one inventor controlling the vaccine's purchase price. Vaccine nationalism invariably causes inequitable allocation of vaccines, greatly disfavoring developing nations. And in the end, as things currently stand, the patent system's tendency to offer excessive returns on pharmaceuticals companies' investments is without doubt bound to prolong the crisis. Thank you.
Merci. Thank you very much. So now we'll move to the impression. So from now, this is the end of the debate. It means that you are not anymore under evaluation from the judge. So yes, I will give the floor to each of you in order to get the impression. We have as well one coach who is in the room as well, and we'll ask as well the impression at the end. So I would like to give the floor first of all to Miss Pradhan. What did you think about this match, your team, the other team, the performance?
The debate was wonderful. I mean, the opposition was really prepared with case laws and with legal instruments, so it was very evident that they had well researched. And it was, for me, it was personally a bit hard because I believe in the opposition more. So it was very counterintuitive to debate for the motion, but it's always interesting to challenge our own existing beliefs and to argue from a side that you wouldn't normally argue for. So it's been a very interesting debate for me.
Thank you very much. Miss Donskaya.
For me, it was as exciting as every time. I really enjoyed the debate. It's one of my favorite things, so there is no way I wouldn't enjoy it. But our opponents were really good as well, so we're looking forward for meeting you again.
Thank you. Miss Dital.
A really interesting debate for me as well. I thank all my team members for their hard work, and equally congratulate the opponents for their performance. Apart from that, I think slightly on the motion, I think although it is very obvious that the opposition's claim motion is very agreeable, I think it has been more in the practical sense, it has been more relevant. The proposition has been more relevant to us because the vaccines that we got also came from the voluntary licensing, so it's more practical for us that way. But otherwise, this was a very interesting debate, and I'm happy I got to do it.
Thank you very much. Miss Merdjanova.
Thank you. It was really nice time for me. The arguments of the opposing teams were great. Congratulations. I think that both teams, we did a great job, so good luck.
Thank you. Miss Pandey.
It was fun listening to the arguments as usual. Yeah, but I think I agree with what Diksha said, because it's like, although it may seem on the surface that as a member of the Global South we would agree, we would be opposed to the motion a lot, but it seems like being in favor of the motion has helped us a lot. So, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Spas-Christophe.
Well, I want to once again congratulate the opposing team for their brilliant performance. It really was. It was quite interesting to see how they researched the topic, how they saw the topic, what was the evidence that supported the topic, and yeah, it was a worthwhile experience. I am thankful for it. It was a privilege to debate with you.
Thank you very much. So, yes, Miss Joshi, who is coach of the Nepali team. So, what was your impression? Yes?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the debate. I've enjoyed IP rights debate ever since I was a law student, and I think both the sides were very well prepared. And like my team members said, as a recipient, in Global South, going through this pandemic, we've had a hard time actually understanding our position, because maybe innovation has led us to get vaccines. Maybe IP waiver would probably harm us more. And yeah, so it was quite an emotional or like a challenge to understand where exactly we lie in this debate. It wasn't as black and white. Yeah, so I'm very excited to learn the results.
Thank you very much. So indeed, comments now from us as organizers. The topics that we write in general, the team writing the topics for this edition and as well for the French-speaking edition. We write it quite recently, so it means all the topics are always connected to the news and what happened during the last month. So in a way, yes, it is very good because you can find a lot of materials which are recent on that aspect on all topics of the whole competition. But at the same time, they are not all of them conclusive. So it helps actually to get a debate because everybody is debating on also the questions when they are so recent. And they are still writing on it as well. So yes, this is an opportunity as well to write as well, of course, like the whole legal community. If you want to share more about indeed, what did you think about this debate topic and knowing that you research on both sides. So if indeed you want to extend, let's say, this experience to put on paper, I mean, on the blog as well in an article on the Quartz Foundation in your own name, that is as well a possibility if you indeed have more interest in that particular topic than any other that you might add already. So yes, another element which is very different is that during the weekend I will send you some links for an event which is organized by the University that I'm in charge of organizing. This is reason, and I hope that indeed you'll be able to make even more connections because we had yesterday the networking event of the tournament, but we extend as well thanks to let's say other connections we have. To all the teams, so the possibility as well to participate to what is done in The Hague as well in the Netherlands. So yes, this is what I wanted to tell, and congratulations again to both teams. You will receive, of course, the results during the weekend. We spoke to the judge to ask them to indeed give the results in a way that we can announce indeed for the next stage, which is the quarterfinals as well, the topics, and there is enough time, of course, to prepare as well. Now, my colleague, Ms. Urbanova.
Thank you very much, and well done to both teams. It's a pleasure to see that not only you did good on the quiz yesterday during the networking event, but also you had enough energy to be present for this match and participate. Well done on the research and execution of your argument. Looking forward to the result. And as we mentioned earlier, and we'll keep mentioning, it's we hope it's not the end. There's going to be a next networking event in early June. So we hope to see all of you there again, and also with other teams to connect more. And definitely look out for the event taking place next week. It's going to be an interesting opportunity to see what's happening in The Hague and perhaps also interact with other students. And yes, looking forward to the results, and well done, both of you again.
Thank you. So we wish you a good rest of the day and afternoon for some as well, and we'll keep you informed by email, of course, about what is coming in the next days. So thanks again for your time, for your work as well, and we keep in touch for the next coming activities. Thank you. Thank you in Nepal. Thank you in Bulgaria.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.